financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic, tax and debt problems when bankruptcy helps you and when you need a different plan. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It's lovely to be here this morning.
Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken.
Any hot tax issues and advice for us today?
Pay your taxes on time, file your returns, always.
And if you don't have the money to pay your taxes on time, still file the return on time.
Always file your return.
Can't tell you how many people, I'm going to come back to that. Jim Samaska, how are you?
It's a great day today. I'm doing good.
Good to have you back again. How's your brother Pat?
He's strong.
He's
doing good.
He's good. All right, back to the taxes, because we're coming close to tax time. If you don't have the money, a lot of times people say, oh my God, I don't have the money. I'm not going to file my return. They won't hear about me. Biggest mistake you can make. Non-filing of the return puts you in a position where it's a 5% penalty per month for 5 months. You automatically increase your tax liability 25% before you say boo. You file the return even if you haven't paid the taxes, you save the 25%. We can get you into an installment payment plan to pay the taxes. It's not that big of a deal. It's a waste of money to make the mistake not to file the return. If you're watching this, get the message. You filed the return regardless of whether you have the money to pay the tax.
Not to mention, not filing your return is illegal. It's a crime.
You're just so much fun. Okay, we're going to go on to tax and debt problems. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario of two individuals, John and Fred, that have similar problems, but we're going to have to treat their problem differently because of their particular facts. All right, so I'm going to give it to you first, and then we're going to give you both of their numbers, and then we'll talk about John, and then we'll talk about Fred. Okay, John is married with 2 kids. Fred is married with 2 kids.
Similar problems.
Everything's the same. John's income, good one, $180,000. Is it the wife or the 2 kids?
Depends on the day.
Okay.
You're assuming.
John's income's $180,000 a year. Good income. Fred's $75,000. Credit card debt. They both have $100,000 of credit card debt. John has savings of $35,000, non-IRA. Fred has no savings. John's house is worth $300,000. He has a $200,000 mortgage, so there's $100,000 of equity. Fred's house is worth $195,000. His first mortgage is $200,000, and he has a second mortgage for $120,000.
So Fred's suffering from a fact that his house devalued and never came back
From the recession. So he's underwater. They both have 2 car payments, $800 a month. There's a little difference, though, in that John's car payments are for new cars. Fred's car payments are for old cars, so he's driving old cars with the same $800 in payments because they were subprime auto loans. They both have income taxes owed. John owes $40,000 from 2015, $50,000 from 2016 income taxes. Fred owes $5,000 from 2015 and $10,000 from 2016. That's where we're at. Now, before we go to John and then to Fred, Brian, what's the basic analysis of what we have to do when people like John and Fred come into the office is our job is to figure out the best solution to solve their debt problem and tax problem. What's the process that you use to employ?
This is a perfect example using 2 sets of people that have a similar problem, yet they have completely different results that they're going to need. that's going to come up with. Their solutions are completely different. So what we do is we do a financial analysis of their income, their expenses, their assets, and their liabilities. And what we're trying to do is figure out which of the solutions, whether it's Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, debt resolution, budget management, offer and compromise, which of the solutions works best for them. And those are just 5 of the solutions.
What's the process?
So I'm going to look at, let's just take a look at John first.
Well, before we get to John, here's what I was trying to say is, we always approach these and we look and say, what's the method that we can eliminate the debt at the least cost and in the fastest manner? And as a general rule, the fastest procedure we have is
Chapter 7.
what? Okay, so if we can put someone into a Chapter 7 that will wipe out the debt, it's fast and it's quick.
Correct.
But it's not always available, right?
Right, and for John it's not, for Fred it is.
Okay, so but just in general, we first look to Chapter 7. If the answer is Chapter 7 works, we're going to go with Chapter 7.
And then after that, if it doesn't work, now I'm going to look at Chapter 13 and I'm going to compare that to debt resolution. Which one is the least costly, most effective? Which one will cost less? Because at the end of the day, even though somebody may qualify for a Chapter 13, if they're going to repay all of their debt in full, unless they have to because of other circumstances, there's no reason to do that. We can settle debts for pennies on the dollar and leave them with the majority of their assets intact.
So it just kind of comes back to the same thing. Which way is the least costly and the most effective and the quickest? So if the debt resolution costs less than the Chapter 13, that's what we'd go with. So we always have this analysis that we have to do. We have to look, does 7 apply? If no, then we have to compare 13 to debt resolution, and that's what I want to do with John and Fred. All right, so let's take John first. We're coming up to the break, but just to recap quickly, he's the guy with the $180,000 of income. He's got $100,000 of credit card debt, $35,000 in savings. He's got equity in his house. He's got 2 car payments at $800, and he owes taxes $40,000 and $50,000 from 15 and 16. Brian, I'm going to throw it to you. After the break, can he qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy? After the break, you will reveal that answer.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the medicated nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So Brian, very simple. Can John just file Chapter 7, wipe out the tax debt, wipe out the credit card debt, move on?
No.
Okay. Why is that? Because that's you always make it sound like it's everybody can file a Chapter 7.
So here's John's situation.
No soup for you,
Yeah,
huh?
no soup for you. John's situation is rather complicated because there's so many factors that have to be addressed when we're looking at it. Number one, does John pass what's called the means test? In other words, after we apply his income and subtract his allowable expenses according to the government, does he have any money left over? He makes $180,000 a year for a family of four. He's going to be required to repay some of his debt, so he will fail the Chapter 7 means test. When we look at the...
Let me just interject something. If John had any money left at the end of every month, after he was paying his bills, paying the college tuition for his kids, paying for the dance lessons and everything else, if he had any money left, he wouldn't owe $100,000 in credit card debt, and he wouldn't owe his taxes. So I don't think he has. I think he does pass the means test.
No, he doesn't. If you're going to try to avail yourself of the bankruptcy code, then there are standards that you must meet. And whether or not you think he should pass it or not, he won't. He will have excess income over his expenses.
So it's not for me to decide that paying your college tuition is okay and paying dance lessons and everybody should go on a vacation once a year. The government doesn't necessarily agree with me. Is that what you're
correct.
saying? Okay, that's unfortunate, but that's how it is.
Problem number one is John will, when we look at the disposable income test under Chapter 13, John's result will be that he has enough money under that test to repay the credit card debt and the Internal Revenue Service, all $190,000 that he owes them over a 5-year period. If that was the only result that we had an option for, we would put him in a Chapter 13. But in the reality is we have much better opportunity here for John.
All right, so if he was in a Chapter 13, what would happen?
He would repay the $190,000 in this set of facts.
That's the credit card debt and the taxes.
Over a 5-year stretch at 0% interest.
All right, so he at least he would have the pressure off of him of collection, but he'd be paying back the full $190,000.
Well, you're looking at probably $3,500 to $3,800 a month.
Which means for 5 years he wouldn't have any extra available cash for anything.
Correct.
And he'd be living on the standards that the government sets, not on the standards that he sets.
Remember, he's bringing home, he's grossing $15,000 a month, and he's been paying $2,500 a month on the credit cards. The issue is not whether or not he can afford that $3,500 to $3,800 to deal with the problem. The issue is can we get him a better result doing something else?
So what's the something else?
So in this case, I would look to doing debt resolution for John, because John's $100,000 for the credit card debt is probably going to settle out for about 40 cents on the dollar, meaning that he's going to really save 60 cents on the dollar, $60,000 that he won't have to pay out. So the big
picture is... So you do debt resolution on the credit cards.
Right.
You've solved that problem.
Exactly, and that's probably a 2 to 3 year program for John.
Okay.
Maybe he's faster.
But there's still a problem here.
He's got taxes.
He's got $90,000 of taxes.
Well, the tax debt wasn't going to go away in a Chapter 13.
So you're saying to me, you can't solve his tax problem?
I can.
You can't.
We can, yes.
We being him?
We being us.
How are you going to solve the
tax problem?
We
work in the same place.
Right. But the point is, because the analysis is Chapter 13 is going to have to pay back the full $190, we don't want to do that. Chapter 7 doesn't work. So how do we deal? So you're doing debt resolution. You're going to save $40,000 on that credit card debt, and then how are we going to get control of the $90,000 in the tax liability?
So for his $90,000 right off the bat, he's not going to qualify for a pennies on the dollar offer and compromise. He's got assets. He's got $35,000 in savings.
Equity
his
in the
income's
home.
too high. He's got equity in the home. That's going to take him right out of the offer box.
So
he's
on that point, if you call one of these national firms, I'm just telling you, just everybody realizes, you call one of these national firms, you give them these facts, they're going to say, we'll put you into the Fresh Start program, you'll qualify, we'll settle this debt for pennies on the dollar, give us $7,500 on your credit card today, and everything will be great and rosy for you. They take your $7,500, and 9 months later, IRS sends a letter saying your offer is rejected.
Right.
And we will accept a full payment of $90,000.
I just had somebody in yesterday that happened to.
Yeah, happens all the time. So you wouldn't put him into an offer and compromise, so it doesn't work. So
No.
what do you do?
So we'd get him an installment agreement. Depending on whether or not the IRS has come knocking and they have an agent assigned to his case yet, or if it's still in the computer house, we have some options of getting him an installment payment based on either a straight division over 72 or 84 months, or if his budget is such that he needs a lower payment over a longer period of time, we can do that.
And then looking at his Chapter 13, Brian, realistically in his numbers, he could probably pay off that tax debt in a 5-year period if he chose to. We could probably get him longer because the numbers would dictate that in a Chapter 13.
Well, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if he's going to pay everything back in full through a Chapter 13, the only savings is interest and cash flow. It's a regular payment, so you can rely upon it. But on the flip side of that, if you could save the $60,000 first
on the credit card
the credit card debt, then you had, even if we did debt resolution first, and then John said, I want to go into a Chapter 13, so because the government
to handle the taxes.
Yeah, because the government says, you know what, you can afford more. Well, I can still force them to accept it over 5 years at no interest.
All right, so the scenario for John is, it's not simple because he has significant income, he has some savings, equity in the home makes the offer and compromise in addition to other things in his income not feasible. But there is a solution, and there's an optimal solution, and the optimal solution is to still save $60,000 on that credit card debt. So John's analysis is do debt resolution and an installment payment plan on the tax liability. We come back after the break, we're going to figure out what we're going to do for Fred.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, 7 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, lawandreality.com, pop in your email address, and you're entered into the contest. Great opportunity. We have seminars coming up on Wednesday, February 26th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. seminar called Bye Bye Credit Card Debt, Hello Happiness. We're going to go through all the ways that we go about eliminating debt so that you can save that money for your family and for your future savings, so that when you get to retirement, you have something to retire with. Jeff Linden will do a special segment on how to resolve tax debt. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Seminars are a great opportunity to learn the process that we go through to eliminate debt. You will be surprised at how invigorating the seminar and the concept is, and the outlook will change for your future tremendously. Urge you to take advantage of the opportunity. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. We have a seminar coming up on Wednesday, March 18th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. on estate planning. It is called Your Will, Your Trust, and Your Powers of Attorney, The Essentials. We're going to go through all the basic estate planning rules, the changes to IRAs under the new 2019 law, protecting your assets for you and your children. Attendees get a $300 gold certificate off the cost of any estate planning service at the firm. You want to sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, you can always come in to THAV Gross through Law and Reality for a free consultation. Just go to the website, request a consult on one of the boxes to click, or call the office anytime at 888-235-HELP. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff, estate planning issues with Jeff or myself, estate planning issues with Brian or myself, business issues with me, elder law issues with Pat and Jim Samasco, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. Just call, take advantage of the opportunity. Consults are not just meet and greets. We analyze the problem, identify what you need to do, the costs to get it accomplished, and what the steps are to take. It's a good, positive way of getting a handle on an issue. And just remember, sign up at lawandreality.com for a seminar or call 888-235-HELP. Also, take a look at our website. There's 4 great free reports. One on resolving tax problems, the real solutions, written by myself and Jeff Linden. How to save your home from foreclosure, business formations and loans and grants for small businesses in Michigan, and the Retiree's Guide for Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Samasco Law, Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. Before we get into solving this problem, I want to raise a couple of points. When we were talking about national standards and how much the government allows, and I was being a little bit facetious about paying for the dance lessons and everything else. I am and I'm not.
But you're not facetious.
No,
remember, the bankruptcy process is a set of rules that is established to affect everybody. But it doesn't take into account real life. Real life people put their kids in dance lessons. Real life people
pay for their college.
Help their kids' college expenses.
And the point that I wanted to make is we realize that we support that. The solution to the problem is dealing with the problem when it arises. We're not sitting here saying you shouldn't have done this and you shouldn't have done that. We understand the situation and the pressures that everybody goes through in providing for their family. And the reality is, unless you're making a lot of money in this world, the pressures are extremely difficult in order to provide for your family the way you want to, and at the same time remain fiscally in good standing.
Right.
And then the other issue is go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I just wanted to say that the same standards apply in the tax resolution in the issues that the deals that you can get with the IRS, because the federal national collection standards are based on census data,
which are similar to the national standards that you're dealing with on the bankruptcy.
Actually, the exact
same.
So the other thing was, Jim, what we were talking about the break is, so your children have problems, but mom and dad may not. What does that do with mom and dad's estate planning?
It changes everything, because if mom and dad dies and leaves John money, the creditors are going to swoop in and take that money as quick as possible, including if it was an IRA inheritance, because that's no longer protected. So what we like to do is set up a discretionary trust. We either bypass John and say, John, you're not getting the money, we're going to give it to your kids, pay for their college with their inheritance, or we set up a discretionary trust where the creditors can't attack that money.
But the money can be available for John or Fred to use.
Absolutely.
So the point is, if mom and dad have money and kids have financial issues, mom and dad need to revise their estate plan to protect that money from the kids' creditors. All right, we've still got a couple minutes left, and I've kind of left Fred hanging there, Brian, but I did it intentionally because Fred's problem's a lot simpler than John's, isn't it?
It is and it isn't.
Okay.
So Fred has lots of options, but the first thing we're going to do for Fred is put him into Chapter 7. That's going to eliminate the income tax liabilities that he has because they're over 3 years old. It's going to allow us to get rid of his credit card debt also.
So he's got no debt.
Right, so he's got no debt. But then Fred also has a unique opportunity in this situation. He can do a Chapter 20.
Because Fred has
You're supposed to say, what's a Chapter 20?
What's a Chapter 20 and why would he do this?
But
we're worried about Fred's second mortgage, right?
Right. So
okay.
Fred has a second mortgage, and what he's done first through the Chapter 7 is he's eliminated his personal responsibility to pay all of his debt, including his second mortgage. Now Fred can go back in and do a lien strip Chapter 13 and remove the second mortgage.
So he does that after the Chapter 7?
Right, because
You're allowed to do one and then the other?
Yes, you are. You don't need a discharge in a Chapter 13 to lien strip the mortgage. You just have to successfully complete the case.
13 plus 7 is 20?
13 plus 7 is 20. So there's lots...
Well, no. Isn't it 7 plus 13?
Well,
Which is he going to do first?
He's going to do the Chapter 7 first.
Okay.
Because
gotcha.
Fred's opportunities he may have an increase in his income down the road, things may change, but at the end of the day, Fred has an opportunity to literally create equity in his home by getting rid of a second mortgage, because his house isn't going to come back anytime soon.
I have one more question for the three of you. This is a math question. There was a term for the fact that 7 plus 13 equals 20 and 13 plus 7 also equals 20. There was a term for
Cumulative
that.
property of addition. Third grade math.
That is true. I could have never remembered what that is.
But here's
that. The lights are flashing. God is saying, brilliant response by Jim.
I just want to make a note. There really isn't something called a Chapter 20. It's just utilizing the tools of financial crisis management, doing a Chapter 7 first, then a Chapter 13 afterwards, allowing you to eliminate the debt in the most effective way, and then taking advantage of the law and utilizing it to again protect you and your family.
But in this particular case, the communicative rule wouldn't apply because you've got to do the Chapter 7 first. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.